are back for session number 2 tonight. This is our school dance time with the one and only Master School Dances, Arnoldo. Good evening.
And Pokemon Master, if my servers would actually work.
Wait. Okay, so how many have you captured? We're gonna have that one moment. How many?
I have no idea. Look, I was only just to see what the game's all about. Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning. I gotta get in the car.
Tonight we're going to be talking about school dances. That season's just about there.
Yeah.
And
if you're not already selling school dances, you guys are missing out.
They should have been back when we talked about it back in April and March. They should have been thinking about it. So now it's we can give a little bit maybe of some ideas, but really what I wanted to kind of give is if we can give some ideas also on maybe for those who want to kind of freshen up their performance. A lot of things we've talked about in the past, but we really just want to kind of grind it in tonight. And make sure. Exactly. Okay, so I think we are good. If you are watching this on Facebook Live, we are going to follow the chat on YouTube much more than we are on Facebook Live. It's a little tougher for me to follow that. If you have the links earlier, we had one of the show links were bad. So now on the YouTube, the shows, the one link was bad and it didn't go anywhere. That was my mess up. So we should be good now. So click to go to the next show with the newest one, not the one that was on the last show. Arnoldo, is there something? Let's talk right from the beginning. You mentioned that they should have been selling. If they haven't been selling, is there something they can do right now to get things going?
Call. School is open. And this isn't just in my area. This is in a lot of areas. You've got summer schools. The SGA people are still meeting. That Student Government Association or Student Council. They're still having their seminars. They're still having their get-togethers. You know, these kids are the overachievers. They don't take an entire summer off. They're still working. I mean, just an example, my youngest is now doing cross-country training, and school is still about a month out from starting here in Florida. So it really should have been happening right after summer, but I'll be honest with you, I slacked a little bit too. Or as soon as summer started, I just started calling schools maybe about a couple of 2-3 weeks ago, like really pounding the pavement. And, you know, I've already got a couple big bookings and several meetings that I've been lining up. So yeah, now is the time to be doing that.
Now, for those who are wondering, and they're like, oh my God, he's going to fill his calendar. You've got homecomings that are booked from you. Basically, when you finish with one homecoming, there's some schools that are like, yeah, next year, this is the date, book it.
Absolutely. Well, it's a little bit difficult with homecoming. Proms are easy. You know, proms here would have even a couple of years booked out. Homecoming's a little bit difficult because you got to wait for the coach or the athletic director, and they try to pick a team that sucks. So, really, nobody wants to lose their homecoming game. But homecoming is no longer homecoming. I have schools that their day ends is 2 weeks after homecoming because they just couldn't work out the schedule. We have some, you know, that their homecoming dance is like the second game of the season, not really a homecoming.
Yeah.
So a homecoming dance isn't at all what it used to be. Once you get into the mindset of that really helps when it comes to selling and when it comes to persuading schools to choose slower dates. I have October the 8th that I'm pulling my hair out. I have to hire 9 more techs to be able to comfortably do October the 8th. I'm positive we'll be fine. We always are. But it just shows, you know, what can happen if you grow faster than what you can handle, which is a good problem to have. But because of that, we try to persuade some schools, hey, you should choose this date. And if you do, I'm going to throw this in for free. And that kind of helps me, you know, work things out a little bit. But as far as with the schools, what we try to do is, you know, I try to basically, I don't want to say bribe them, but I tell them, look, your budget is this much, you want this much. This much is this much over your budget. Mm-hmm. If you can plan a 2-year agreement with me, I can make it work. Right? Because then I don't have to drive over and pitch to your second one. I don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to be guaranteed income for me. So I don't mind working with the price to make it work. So when we do that 2-year agreement, it's, you know, the way it works, we tell them, it's like, look, as long as we are available, if we're not available, you're out of your 2-year agreement or we move it to the next one. If we are available, you have to use us for the same package or something higher. You can't scale back.
Okay. How has that been received?
Pretty well, actually. You know, I'm not doing like these little menial $500-$600 discounts. I'm doing between $1,000 and $3,000 discounts, sometimes more. And the reason is because if I have a school on a Friday on my slowest weekend possible, and they had a choice between that Friday and my busiest Saturday, And on my busiest Saturday, they may be spending $6,000 for that package. I don't mind taking that package down to $4,000 for that Friday. Sometimes maybe a little bit less. And some people are like, oh my God, Arnoldo's discounting packages. It's not about discounting. It's not about lowballing for the sake of getting to school. It's about bringing the price down so I can move them from a busy date to a less busy date.
For sure.
This allows me and my staff to make more income because I can fill more dates because I don't have to turn clients away. Knock on wood, I've gone several years without having to turn anybody away, at least current clients. New clients, a different story. But I haven't had to turn current clients away because of that strategy. I would say we make at least an extra $30,000 to $40,000 each year just because of that.
Nice. That's something that I think a lot of us, a couple have mentioned that concept that everyone wants to book the same night, and if you can move them, what a blessing that would be.
There's a gentleman. Well, I don't know if you know Adam Parrott.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kid's like what, barely 18 now. I don't know how old he is. And, I mean, he's doing incredible with his business. He was just telling me he got a prompt to book on a Thursday. I'm like,
whoa.
Wow, the young Jedi. That's impressive,
It's very impressive.
I've had some schools that are booking for 2018, 2019, that far ahead. We have some that are like, no, it's for us. That said, they can't sign that far ahead because they're not allowed to, but we are their only choice. But it's really important that you drive it to the schools. Like, look, I will hold the date as best as I can for you, but money talks. If I don't have a contract and it's the last possible slot and somebody else comes to me, they're going to get that because I'm not going to lose out on money. And I have before. I'm not going to lose out on money because, oh, yeah, we're going to book you. We're just waiting for this. I don't care about the money. You can pay me the day of for all I care. All I care is your signature on that contract. We can worry about payment later.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. Schools sometimes when we do the event and they we don't have a check for you. It's going to come later. Typically, as DJs, we like to be paid the night of.
Absolutely, because DJs are terrible businessmen.
Precisely. How do you guys handle that?
We don't. You're dealing with the government. You get paid when they want to pay you. And this is something not even Disney can get around. So Orange County decided to come up with this amazing policy that your deposit is 10%. Now, you try telling that to Disney. Apparently they did, and Disney is no longer taking the 50 to 75% deposit they used to have. But that being said, I've only had one or two schools say, hey, look, we can't pay you right on this day. We have to pay you on the next one. That is solved very easily by just going up to the bookkeeper. So what happens is they don't just cut out a check out of whim. I mean, they can, but they try not to. They usually try cutting out, depending on the district, twice a month, right?
Yep.
So the point is that you want to get the invoice to that bookkeeper before they cut out the check. So that way they can have that check cut out ready for you. A lot of times, it's become a very fluid process between a bookkeeper and her CFO. She sends the invoice and they say, do you want it now or do you want it the day of the dance? We tell them, hey, if you want to mail it now, we're not going to stop you. So it's automatic. It's a little bit rough to get there, but once you get there, it gets better and better. And we're finding more and more ways to improve on that process, which will be part of Master School Dances 3.0. Hey, there's a shameless plug.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. But yeah, it's for that, you don't want to deal with the principal. You don't want to deal with the advisor. You want to deal directly with the bookkeeper. And I've had some bookkeepers, where they tell me, hey, we can't pay you this month. And right before they finish, I'm like, you got to pay. It's like, look, I can wait because there's certain counties that I don't like to diddly-daddle. We get paid, but I've had this very specific county wait up to 2 or 3 weeks after the dance. And I'm like, no, it's got to be there. If we need to submit invoices early, that's fine. But look at the contract you guys signed. Disney wouldn't put up with this. And ever since then, we've had no issues with them. But it's really about having that open line of communication. And again, the bookkeeper is your best friend here. They can do as much as take that entire contract away from you if they want.
Yeah, very much so. You send out the contract, you get the contract signed, you get that back. Now, what are you sending back then for the bookkeeper? What are you guys required to send back in Florida?
So this isn't just in Florida. This is pretty much everywhere. If the advisor signs the contract, technically it's a legal binding contract with the advisor. An advisor 9 out of 10 has no authority to authorize a school purchase. Usually the principal doesn't even have the authority to authorize a school purchase. It's usually the bookkeeper. Now in some districts, in some states, the principal does have that authority, so they sign, Florida being one of them. But the bookkeeper needs to see that contract. They have to approve. They got to approve the PO. They got to approve the itemized list, everything that comes with it, right? So if you're not sending a proposal, a lot of times they're itemizing that list for you as far as the council. So they do a really bad job of it. And then one day they say, wait a second, this is a lot of money for this much. Meanwhile, here's another DJ service. They're bringing lights and it's $500 less or $1,000 less. You guys should use them. The bookkeeper can and has done that before.
Yep.
And if you guys don't think it'll happen to you, one day it will. So you really want to be proactive with that. But it's really just about getting that invoice sent out to them and itemize it as much as possible. You know what I mean? Literally kiss butt and say, look, what can I do to make your job easier? And again, if you make their job easier, they'll retaliate, not retaliate, but they'll reciprocate.
Yep, reciprocate.
In that same aspect.
Cool. Let's take a quick little break here. We've got our sponsors for the summer, and then let's come back with our next topic. We'll be right back.
All right.
USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
We are back. We were talking school dances with the one and only Arnoldo tonight. Arnoldo, you just mentioned a little bit ago that you hire basically street urchins to come in and be
urchins. That's the nice way of saying it.
When you're setting up those shows, and if you guys haven't seen some of the pictures, they can go out to they can search in on Facebook Master School Dances, and they'll find, and that will show some of the setups you guys have done, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yes.
It takes a team to do that. Let's talk about staffing. How do you get the staffing to do what you guys do at these dances?
The amazing thing about staff is that if you're not a believer in God, you will be after you hire staff. I can tell you, I don't think I've ever prayed this much in my life. Here's the thing about staff, right? And we've all said it. They'll never take care of equipment as good as they'll take care of you, or as good as you'll take care of it. Excuse me. My staff is amazing. I really do. I feel blessed that I have a good staff that's really passionate about their job, really passionate about making money, and they're not going to get that money unless they make the job. But the problem is there's so many variables, and at the same time, I, as the operator, have a hard time letting go of trusting them to do things, right? So I'm a control freak because my clients know that everything in there is my product, even if I'm not there. And I've had clients tell me, it's like, oh, they did a great job, but I think it would have looked like this if you were there. I don't like those messages because even if they were happy, the fact that they know I would have done something differently tells me a lot. So it's really about who's my perfect staff member. I try to find somebody that's in your senior year of high school, early college, has Saturdays available. I prefer somebody that already has a job because that way their job can work around. If they already have weekends free, great. I know they'll have weekends. I'm not going to have them drop a bombshell on me. Oh, yeah, I'm not available because I got a new job. So they have to have Saturdays available. They got to have their own car. I don't want mommy or daddy's car. I don't want girlfriend's car. Dude, I kid you not. when we were hiring people, I had this dude call me and he's like, yo, man, I'm the next big thing here, man. You got to hire me. I'm like, I'm not sure what kind of production company you think we are, but we're like professionals. And he's like, no, man, I can do lights and DJ and all that. I'm like, all right, well, you have a resume? What's a resume? Do you have your own vehicle? Nah, man, my buddy Jerome just got out of prison. He can give me a lift, though. I was waiting for Ashton Kutcher to just pop out and be like, punked. So, that's why I'm like, you got to have your own car. I'm not too worried. I gotta be honest with you. I don't drug test. It's not my business what people do in the privacy of their own home, as long as they work when they're there and they're not doing anything they shouldn't be.
Yep.
We're very lax on, serious requirements. I don't need you to have the technical skill. I don't want you to have the technical skill because I want to teach you how to do it my way, because my way is the right way. And if the other company's way was better, then they wouldn't be coming to me. Yeah, sorry, there's a little bit of story behind that. But no, I want to train them, including my DJs. I try to really train them how to do things my way. I want people that are easy to mold that way. And once we, do the training process and everything else, I try to rotate people. I don't want somebody just doing one thing. I want them doing multiple types of systems, whether it's video or lighting, lasers, photo booth. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad because then that's more for them to memorize. But if something happens, one of my techs drops dead or somebody decides to freaking bail out, or whatever the case may be, I can switch people around and I know that everybody will know how to run things. But I mean, I'm a control freak. I write down everything, including, okay, here's where you're going to plug stuff in. Here's what the setup's going to look like. And I have them check everything off as they do it. Now, they can hang the lights however they want. They know I have a certain way, but if they want to rearrange them, I don't care, as long as it follows the set. This gobo has to go here. It needs to be at this angle. It needs to be at this degree, of size. I have to be, because there's a very specific brand. Nobody understands that brand but me, because I don't share that with my techs and employees to that extent. Not because I don't want them to know, but because they already have enough they have to worry about. I just want to worry about the big picture stuff and tell them how to do the small picture stuff.
Sure.
Cuddle them and burp them?
Well, he was saying they handle the gear like a baby. So what do they call it?
Employees. I haven't tried burping my employees.
No, this was Jimmy Spin was making something.
I see that now.
Although you probably should. At times it might be.
The only, the thing that I look for when it comes to employees is common sense. You can't teach that. And everybody talks so much about millennials. Honestly, I have better luck with millennials than I have with people my age or older. They're the biggest pain in the ass that want to work. Seriously, people that let me pick on the baby boomers, because they seem to want to pick on millennials a lot. Millennials are willing to work. They're willing to understand that, hey, this job may only pay this much, but I can give you more and more, at this rate versus the higher end rate. They seem to understand the math a little bit better. They're a little bit more honest, and people seem to not like that. Drives me nuts sometimes, but at least I know what they're thinking. I'm never going to have to worry about, like having a Doberman as a pet. I love Dobermans, but you never know what's in the back of their mind. I don't like employees. I feel like the younger ones are a little bit more honest, and that works out. Whereas baby boomers, we've hired quite a few of them. Look, I got a quesadilla. Can I get a fork, please? Yeah, thank you, left. I feel like with baby boomers, they want to absorb as much information, and they're the perfect employee. So they think, oh, I can do this on my own. And then they do. And then it becomes a huge disaster from there, because then they mess up their company and people see them like, so they used to work with you. So I'm like, yeah, they're not related to us at all anymore. That's been a big problem.
Let's talk about millennials for a second. This is an observation I have, and I wanted to talk about that in a different show, but we'll do it tonight. If they want to be treated differently than the baby boomer, the 40-year-olds. They want to be part of a team that's going to create something impressive. They want to be treated differently, and they want to. How's the best way to say it? That they want to have that level of respect because they're part of that team more than really not. Financial compensation has to be there, but you have to show them a level of respect. More than you probably would. There's more communication with them, and it's not because of having to teach them or what have you, but it's just they expect to have more of a relationship with you than a boss-employee relationship. Am I going off base here?
No, you're absolutely right, and I think part of it is that because the millennials, and again, some people classify millennials as 1985 and older, which I think it's crap. Millennials 2000 to me, hence the name millennial. But I think part of it is because millennials were born into this technology that we're used to, so they're excited about, the stuff that we can do. And a lot of them are into the EDM scene, whereas you don't see baby boomers going into, the concerts. To them, concerts were pyro and big rock stars. Millennials see concerts as lighting, lasers, and one guy right there, that's the one guy. He peek, there he is. And I think that kind of works out in the long run, because I remember I used to have, a couple older people that work for us. And they're like, oh, no, we need to do more speakers. And I'm like, no, just shut the hell up. And these guys are like, hey, I want to play more with the lasers. I'm like, yes, that's what I want. I'm not sure what it is that there's so much hate about millennials, but the way I see it is I tell people, look, if you got a problem with millennials and the work ethic and everything else, it's not the millennials' fault, because somebody had to raise the millennials. So everything starts from home.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with a business. I have good employees because we have a very open line of communication. And I think that's something that a lot of older business, and I mean older as far as 35 and older, right? They don't understand that you can and can't compartmentalize, right? I compartmentalize. Like I'll fire somebody and the next day we're out there, hanging out. That's just the way that I've always been. But the younger person doesn't understand that. Millennials really compartmentalize. They want to hang out there with their boss. They don't understand that there's businesses don't even allow fraternizing anymore. Whereas with, some of my employees have been out there for a while, but whether it's experience or they're, older in age, they understand compartmentalizing. So if you compartmentalize like I do or anything remotely, but you don't understand people that don't, that's where there's going to be a huge clash.
Yep.
And it drives me nuts because I got a lot of people that can't compartmentalize for crap. And I'm like, I lose my cool with them. And I got to remember, yes, their IQ points are just a little bit lower when it comes to that department. I don't mean that in a bad way. Compartmentalizing is something that I think is lost on a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you understand that, you can really not just work with millennials, but work with pretty much everybody.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the areas in which some people are uncomfortable with working with the millennial, because they will connect with you. Once they have become connected with you, they want to be able to connect with you in different ways than that communication. You mentioned that earlier, of how important that is. Back when we were a multi-system, you could send, you'd leave a voicemail for someone and, hey, here's your event is Saturday night. Stop at the office and pick up your information. Meet with them on Thursday, and that was the extent of your communication.
Yep.
You can't do that.
There's one more thing about having somebody, especially that's close to the high school age. I know the music. I know the music better than most high schoolers do. Mm-hmm. But there's still songs that just came out that I don't get a chance to really go into. My son, actually both my kids are lighting techs, but Jason, he really loves all this Future and Kodak and all this awful crap. Enough that he can tell me, hey, look, the song hasn't hit the charts, but play it. And it does work. Here's the thing. If you don't have somebody in the high school age working for you, your business will not succeed. You may think you have a successful business, and a lot of the guys in my area used to think that, till we came along and took that away. Why? Because I had somebody that knew the music that could tell me, hey, yo, do this, and that'll work out. And again, I do this for a living. I know the music. I know the music really good. One person cannot keep track of everything that comes out. Yeah. One of my DJs, Gino, dude, homeboy is like wonder when it comes to this. He's only been DJing, I think, for 3 years. I taught him from scratch. The guy did a set in EDC Orlando. He's toured all over the world. I mean, he's done so much in just a couple of years. Him and one of my other DJ Centrics, they keep track of all the new EDM remixes, right? Jason helps me with some of the rap stuff. I keep in, general, everything that's going on. But I have my other DJs, we have like a little ecosystem. Hey, keep an eye out on this track. One person cannot keep track of all the genres, all the stuff that's coming out, especially local stuff. And that's where a lot of DJs mess up, is they forget local artists or even big artists that may be big in one area, but not the other area. Yeah. And easiest way to say is, okay, look at iTunes and look at iTunes for your local charts. But even then, there's still local artists that make it big. They'll never be on the radio, but they're big in that particular city or school.
Yeah. Good stuff, Arnoldo. Good stuff. We got just a couple of moments here. If people want to find out more information, where is the best way to get a hold of you, get in touch, to rattle your cage?
masterschooldances.com. Had an issue with the site getting hacked nonstop, but now it seems we're good. So yeah, masterschooldances.com, or if you search my name, Arnoldo Offermann, on Facebook, there's a like page, not the DJ page, but it says Arnoldo Offermann, DJ, lighting tips, gear reviews. Like that one. Huh?
Make sure they don't steal it.
Oh, yeah, and don't steal my content.
Well, if you do, we will see you will see an example of you up on Facebook as you're being bastardized, and then the chickens will come over and kick your. I mean, that's pretty much there's a reason why those are security chickens.
Yeah.
Arnoldo, thank you much for being on tonight, my friend. We'll
Thank
get
you for having me.
we're getting our fall schedule put together, and we're going to get some open dates for Arnoldo to come back and talk to us about all sorts of important things, because we haven't had a good lighting chat in a while. We need to do this.
No, we need to. And dude, we got so much exciting stuff. I gotta tell you.
Okay, you've got 30 seconds. Go.
I can't tell you yet.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were that close.
So close, so close.
And if you guys didn't get a chance, last week we did an Ask Me Anything Tuesday night. You can find that on the channels. We're going to be incorporating those on off nights, not on Monday nights. But that was kind of a fun night just to go and rap about different questions you had, and it was a great night. So
Absolutely. Oh, I can tell you one thing.
Yeah.
If you guys use ADJ's Airstream Bridge, if you don't look into it, but if you are, there's a big announcement. John, you know what I'm talking about. There's a big announcement coming up, plus a couple extra things.
Yep, exactly. We're going to be sharing that information here as we get closer to DJ Expo, because there's some cool stuff coming. So
Absolutely.
we're going to let you get back to supper, Arnoldo, and we'll be going to video number 3. So the links are in the descriptions down below on the YouTube channel. So we'll see you guys in the next video in just a minute.